All right, go ahead. Sorry,
Okay,
Autumn.
should be one,
Listen, please.
1 minus 2x is greater than 7, and then it'd be
Or
1 minus 2x is greater than negative.
close. Less than -7. Remember, you got to change the inequality also. So change the inequality symbol, flip it, and take the negative of, or the opposite of that. So then subtract 1. So this is -8. And this is 6. And then divide by -2. What's going to happen? We're going to flip our signs, yeah, because we divided by a negative. So it's less than -3 or greater than 4. And that's what a disjunction, an or problem, is supposed to do. Go in opposite directions when you graph the majority of the time. Okay? Questions? Okay. Cole, what do I do for number 6?
We subtract 11.
Very good, sir. You got to subtract 11 first. Did you guys remember that? Very good. Okay, you have to get the absolute value part isolated like we just did before we write our 2 problems. Then what happens in this one? What do you notice? The absolute value of something is greater than -3. Won't that always be true? Because the absolute value of anything is a positive number, right? So this side is going to be positive, will always be bigger than a negative, right? So do we need to go any further? No. We can stop and say any number I put in place of the k is going to work. Okay? Number 7. What do we got to do here? Braden.
Divide by -2.
Right. Get that -2 over there on the other side. So we have to divide it. There's no symbol here, so it means -2 times that. Don't distribute it. So we get the absolute value part isolated. Since we divided by -2, we switch it. What do you notice on this one? It's negative on that side? Yeah. And this is going to be what type of number when I figure it out? Because it's absolute value. Positive. Will positive ever be negative or less than or equal to a negative? No. That will never happen. So this one is no solution, right? So this middle one, anything I put in for k will work. And this far right one here, number 7, there's nothing I can put in for u to make it be a true statement. Okay? So be aware of that stuff. Okay? So what did we do? 16 to 26? Is that what we did? All right. 16, -3 and +3. 18, 5 and 1. Those were equations. So we just find the answers. We don't have to graph. Number 20 was -1 is less than x, which is also less than 1. Or you could have said x is greater than -1 and x is less than 1. So when you graph that, you have open circles at -1 and 1, and you connect them. They go towards each other. 22 is an all real number 1. it happened to be just like this. Once you took something over, you got an absolute value greater than a negative, so it's all real numbers. 24 is x is less than -2 or x is greater than 2. So you have open circles at -2 going to the left and an open circle at +2 going to the right. And the last one is like this number 7. You divide both sides by -8 and you get a -6 over here and it changes to less than, so it'll never work. That's a no solution one. Any of those you'd like me to go over? Derek, you okay with that?
Yeah.
All right, today you're gonna need your graphing calculator. So, if you have it, get it out. If you don't have it, still pay attention. I will show you at the end how to do this without the graphing calculator. Oh, you know what we gotta do? We gotta do this. Who, did I call last week? Yeah, it was Miles. Nathan Miles, come on up. Get this one on the left first, please. Row 3 again. That's back there, right? Okay. Mary, you were trying for Hunter?
No, no.
Okay, back to today's stuff. Okay, we're gonna do, it's called curve fitting with linear models. We're gonna fit a scatter plot data using linear models with and without technology, but we're gonna try to do it all with technology, with our graphing calculators. Okay, we used to be able to download the calculator to our laptop, but this link doesn't work anymore, so we'll just go to the next. We've already warmed up. So, these are called linear regressions. We're going to talk about correlation, line of best fit, and the correlation coefficient today. So, a scatter plot is these things. These are called scatter plots or scatter diagrams or stat plots. And they're helpful in understanding the form, direction, and strength of the relationship between two variables. Correlation is the strength and direction of the linear relationship between two variables. So when you look at two variables and you plot some points that fit into some equation, you get some points, okay? Now, they were supposed to do a negative correlation here in the middle. They just, for some reason, did two positives. But a positive correlation means you can kind of look at these points and think about a line going through those, okay? They don't all line up on the line, but they're all kind, you can kind of draw one that kind of splits the difference. You get the same amount above it and the same amount below it. So it's going this way, so it's got a positive slope. So if it's going in a positive slope direction, it would have a positive correlation. This one should have been negative, so those should have been flipped. These should be over there, and those should, so it kind of looks like this. Going this way is negative slope, right? That's more of like a negative correlation. Here, you can't really see where to draw the line, can you? They're just everywhere. So you could draw a line that way, or you could draw a line that way and be about the same. So there's no correlation really between the two variables for a picture that looks like that, for a stat plot to look like that. If there is a strong linear relationship between two variables, a line of best fit, or a line that best fits the data, can be used to make predictions. It says try to have about the same number of points above and below the line of best fit, okay? Your calculator will find it for you. If you have to do it by hand, you're going to have to kind of guess where you think it should go, okay? So the correlation coefficient is the letter R. I don't know why they didn't use the letter C, but they used the letter R. It is a measure of how well the data set is fit by a model. So the closer you get to +1, which is a perfectly straight line, they would all line up, the points, to make a straight line, or -1, a perfectly straight line, but with a negative slope, then you have a very, very strong correlation between the two variables, okay? Those are the only numbers you'll have for the R value, between -1 and +1. You won't have anything bigger than 1 or anything less than -1. If your R is 0, then there's really no correlation. So if we're looking at this one, these are pretty close to a straight line, and they're pretty tight together. This is approximately a -0.95 correlation. So these two variables, whatever they represent, are pretty well related, pretty strong connection. This one, you can still kind of tell it's going this way if you were to draw a line in here, but it's a moderate correlation as far as strength, very strong negative, a moderately negative correlation. Then this one, you can't really tell where to draw the line, so there's basically no correlation. And then this one is going this way in a positive direction. You could kind of draw a line, so that's about a 0.6, a moderately positive correlation. And then the far right one there is a strong positive correlation. You can just about see where that line should go, right? So this kind of gives you an idea of about what the R value should be when you look at a bunch of dots on a graph. Okay, is that making sense? So what's the highest value of R could be? 1, and the lowest? Negative. Okay. And again, your calculator will find this. Okay, we're not going to figure out how to do this by hand. It's just a big, huge formula. We're not going to worry about it. So get a linear or a graphing calculator. All right, so you can use a graphing calculator to perform a linear regression and find the correlation coefficient. It says to display the correlation coefficient R, you may have to turn on the diagnostic mode. So we have to do this. All right. So we have to hit second 0 on your calculator. If you look above the 0, it says catalog. So to turn our diagnostics on, hit second 0, and you'll get the catalog. Whenever you see this little rectangle with an A in it, it's in alphabet mode, okay? Now, to find diagnostics, this is alphabetical order. You can hit the down arrow key and hold it if you want to get to the D's and try to find it. Or, since it's in alphabet mode, if you look above this, what do I call these things? Yeah, but this, what do we call these when I hit them? I just had a brain fart. What? Buttons, yeah. All right. So if you look above this one, this button, all right, you see the letter D. So if I hit it, it'll jump to the D's in the catalog. So that'll get you there a little quicker. Now hit your down arrow key until you see diagnostics on, which I can see it now. This little triangle here is telling me that's where my cursor is right now, okay? To turn them on, just hit enter twice. Hit enter, and then enter, it'll say done. It has, your calculator now has turned diagnostics on. Okay, so you'll be able to figure out the R value, okay? I am not going to show you how to find the R value by hand, okay? It's just a big, huge, what's the word I want? Formula. I'm losing my mind today. That's what happens when you get as old as I am. As old as dirt, right? I don't even know if they show you the formula for it in here. Because I never, no, I never make you guys do it by hand. Okay, so anyway, we got diagnostics on, okay? So, to do a problem, we need some data, right? So here's some data. Okay? So it says, make a scatter plot for this set of data. If you don't have your graphing calculator, you'd have to put these points in by hand, on a graph paper. You go over 2 and up 8, over 16 up, 28 over 13 up, and just plot those. I think there's 10 points there. Okay? But since we have our calculator, we're going to put those in our calculator. So here's how you do that. I'll get rid of all these. If you watch up here, these are the buttons that I'm hitting, okay? Or the keys, I guess we could call them, right? That's what that is. All right. So hit the stat key. All right, and then hit enter. And that gets to your lists, okay? We're gonna put the top row, what's that?
I got numbers in mine.
You have numbers in it already?
Yeah.
All right, hit the up arrow key. Is that highlighted now?
Which one? O1?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, hit clear then,
Yeah.
and then enter.
Ah, I got
All right, so hit the right arrow key
it.
and go up,
Yeah.
clear, and enter. All right, you all set? Anybody else need to clear their list? So that's how you clear your list. Hit your up arrow key to get that highlighted and just hit clear and then enter, and it'll clear all the numbers that you put in, okay? All right, so how do we get there? Stat, enter, right? So you might want to write this down because sometimes, but it's all in your book too, on page 144 and 145, I believe. Okay, so what you do now is you just put 28 enter, 35 enter, 8 enter, 20, just put all those after enter and it'll fill up L1. Once you get all those 10 in, hit your right arrow key and it'll put you at the top of L2 and then put all of those in, the points scored. So this is a list of somebody, and it looks like a basketball game. They played 28 minutes, scored 16 points, and so on. Okay?
When you're doing that.
So once you get that there, just stop. Once you get them filled in, then I'll go over that. I'll show you on mine. You've been asking for a week for a charger.
I know.
What have you done about that?
Nothing.
Okay. At least you were asking about it, but now it's time to do something, right?
I mean, how much are we really gonna use them?
We're using the rest of the year. You won't be able to do tonight's homework. Well, you can, you'll just have to do it by hand. You won't be able to find the R value.
Oh, I got a charger.
For this?
Yeah.
For this?
I just never took it out. Oh, I've heard it.
All right. I'm gonna put them in now, okay? Hunter,
Yeah.
you're gonna tell me the numbers, okay?
Okay.
All right. Go ahead.
39,
39,
23, 19, 27, 15, 30. Go over.
no, there's supposed to be 10, I thought.
There's no behind.
You can't see. There's some like behind your screen.
Oh, I thought you had it on your screen.
I'll read it. I didn't go up far enough. I'll read it.
Do
I
this.
got it. 28.
Well, let me start over.
You can start from there.
Yeah, start, okay?
28.
Start from there,
Yeah,
okay?
I got it now.
Okay.
28, 35, 8, 20, 39, 23, 19, 27,
As long as you remember.
15, 30.
Okay, he doesn't need help. All right, now just hit the right arrow key and that gets you to the next list. Go ahead, Hunter.
16, 13, 2, 12, 31, 10, 9, 15, 4, 19.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, you should have the same amount. You should have 10 in each column. If you don't, it's not gonna work. So make sure you put in the right numbers. Anybody having issues filling in your list? Okay, good. All right, now, I'm gonna show you how to see it as a scatter diagram, scatter plot, a stat plot. All right, if you look at this top row, the far left one is y equals, right above it, it says stat plot. So hit second y equals. Okay? Hit second y equals. Anybody else having issues? We there? All right, now hit enter. You should get this screen. You need the on highlighted. If the off is highlighted right now, hit the left arrow key and hit enter. The rest of these should be highlighted. It should have this one highlighted for type, L1, L2, and then the box.
My color was.
You gotta hit on or hit enter. Then enter. And you're all good. You're good to go. Okay? Any questions right now? Any issues? Let's do it now before we get too far ahead of you. Okay. Listen, please. All right? If everybody's talking, then they don't hear what I'm saying. Okay? Now, you want to hit zoom. 9.
I didn't mind draw a line.
Go to your y equals, Hunter.
Yeah.
There's probably something in there.
No.
Hit clear. There's nothing there. Go down then. It might be down further. Anything pop up? Nothing? And there's a line in there?
There's not a line.
Oh, there shouldn't be a line. I had a line because I had put it in earlier today. All right, so yours should look like that. Oops. Okay, so this, your calculator just put in 16, 28, 13, 35, and all those. Ava.
I get the phone, at the last button, it says error syntax, and then it's quit and go to.
Anybody else having issues? Okay. All of us could do this without the calculator. You understand that, right? We're just going, over 16. If I hit this trace button, it goes to one of the points. That's the point 2816. That's the first one, right? Yeah. Okay. So, now, if you're doing this by hand, okay, and you're supposed to find the line of best fit, you're going to make your best guess to draw that in. Okay? So, I'm going to draw this in with my best guess. Remember, I'm trying to split this up so I got about the same amount above it and below it. okay? So you think about where your line might be. I'm gonna say it's gonna be about like that. Okay? I've got, what, 3 below and 4 above, and a couple of them hit my line. Okay? Now, your calculator will find the line of best fit. For you guys doing it by hand, see I went through that point in those two? Pick this one down here and one of these two and find the equation of it, just like we did a few days ago. y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1 gets me to what? The slope. And then how do I find my b? I plug one of these points in, remember? Okay? So that's how you would find it. Here's how you do it if you have your calculator. Okay? Go to stats. All right, I'll clear out my key history. Go to the stat button again. Instead of hitting enter, we're going to move it over right 1 to calculate. So that's what you should see. Anybody have an issue there? Everybody there?
Would you click?
Stat and right arrow 1. Got it?
I think so. I'm trying to do it on my phone.
Did you get it downloaded?
Yeah, do you ever back up?
How much it cost you? $3?
Free.
Free?
Yeah.
Nice.
It was free?
Yeah.
When we bought it.
Stat, calc. All right.
Alright, I already downloaded.
So you're where we are, basically. All right. These are called linear regressions. Look at number 4. It says LINREG, right? So hit 4 and then hit enter. Now some of you, like Robert, some of you that have this one, that's a little thinner and the colors whites and pinks and blacks and blues, okay? You're gonna have to go down arrow till the bottom one that says calculate is highlighted. Then hit enter and it'll bring up the same screen that I have.
I'm not at your screen. I just felt like hitting enter.
Yeah.
Oh. Did you get it? Did you get it?
All right, so this screen gives me, you listening? This screen is giving me the equation of the line and our correlation coefficient. What letter is the correlation coefficient? R. Is that the last number? Is this a pretty strong positive correlation? Yeah. Because these aren't too far apart, are they? You can pretty well tell where that line is going to go. Okay? So if you are answering this question, or when you answer this question, you'll just put R equals, we'll just go to hundreds, 0.89, because there's a 5 after this second 8. And then, what's it say under LINREG there? Y equals AX plus B. What are we used to saying? MX plus B. So it's the same thing. This A value is my slope, and this B value is still my y-intercept. So you're just going to write, substitute those in. Y equals 0.77x. And since that's a negative 5.8, I'm going to put minus 5.8. That's my line of best fit, or my regression line. Okay? If I would have picked, this point in one of those two and done it by hand, it would be close to that. It might be a little bit off, but you could still get that. Okay? Now, what I want you to do, okay, is hit your Y equals button. Right up here, hit the Y equals button. And type this in. 0.77, so here's your decimal point down here. 77. The X is right up here next to the alpha button. Minus 5.8. Hit enter. And then hit this graph button. And it'll draw the line in for you. Okay, so the one that I did by hand is pretty close to the one that the calculator did, isn't it? Okay? So, if you don't have a graphic calculator, you won't be able to tell me the R value, but you should be able to tell me an equation of the line. Okay? You'll just have to plot the points by hand, draw in where you think it is, and just go by and pick two of the points that are on the line that you drew, or very, very close to the line you drew. Okay? To find your equation. You should at least be able to do that. And again, on the test, that's going to be Wednesday next week, I'm not going to make you do all this part. This will all be already done for you. You're just going to have to find the R and the equation of the line. Okay? On Wednesday. So you only have 3 problems tonight for homework. But that's all we're doing, is taking a set of data, putting it in our list. How do we clear our list again? How do I get to the list again?
The top list.
Stat. Enter. That'll get you your list. Stat, enter. How do I clear it? No. Go up first, then hit clear, then hit enter. Hit the left arrow, up arrow, clear, enter. Then you can start, because you got 3 problems you're going to have to plug in. Okay? All right, so here's your 3 problems.
Up arrow, clear what?
Up arrow, clear, enter. You'll be asked some questions too, like predict the temperature when rainfall is 86 millimeters. Okay, basically you'll just put that in, you'll just put that number in for X or Y, depending on which one it's representing. Okay, and solve your equation that you got. So you can make predictions. Okay? So 6, 8, and 10 on 147. I think even page 143 started it, actually, showing how to make sure your diagnostics are on. So if you look in your book pages, if you get stuck, forget what keys, what buttons to push, it goes through it on those pages. All right. Again, if you're not remembering, if you're having trouble with your calculator, your graphic calculator, just do it by hand. Don't sweat the R value. We'll go over it again Monday. Drake, how did you get that downloaded into your phone?
I went to the app.
The App Store? And what did you have to type in? Guys, listen, those of you who don't have one.
Calculator 84.
Yeah, calculator.
Calculator 84.
Calculate.
Calculate 84.
You got a graphic calculator.
Yeah, search for graphic calculator, but you want the TI, the Texas Instrument one. That'll be just like the one up on my board then. Hey, good job this week. You have a good weekend.